I testified before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the subcommittee on East Asia and the Pacific, on the topic of security on the Korean Peninsula. I would say there are two key takeaways. The first is that the improvement in the relationship between the United States, Japan, and South Korea with the Camp David summit in August has created a new position for the United States to manage China's rise. And then the second takeaway has to do with the new relationship between North Korea and Russia, which has real implications for both the war in Ukraine and for North Korea's weapons of mass destruction programs. So I think there were two policy recommendations that were quite significant. The first has to do with whether South Korea should provide lethal assistance to Ukraine, given that North Korea is now funding Russia's war. If that's the case, the South Korean president has said that's a direct threat to South Korean security. South Korea thus far has provided humanitarian assistance, but has resisted providing actual lethal assistance. And if North Korea does provide these weapons to Russia, it could be that the South Koreans choose to cross that line and do so themselves in support of Ukraine. The second policy recommendation has to do with what the United States should say and do with regard to our missile defense and future North Korean intercontinental ballistic missile threats. It's my view that if North Korea launches an ICBM on a flattened trajectory in the direction of Hawaii or Guam, the United States and its allies need to consider whether they should take out that missile. There are two things that I'd be watching for. The first is Senator Van Hollen, who's chair of the committee, has played a large role in the past in sponsoring bills that put banking restrictions and secondary sanctioning on North Korea and those who help North Korea. So I would expect to see more of that. The second is that the North Korean Human Rights Act is up for renewal. It has always been supported in a bipartisan fashion in Congress, and we hope that that will go forward as well. For more on my testimony and this critical issue, please visit csis.org.